In lesson 25, the book covers several things. This is Algebra 2 material. And what they do is, they teach us about the range, the mode, the median, the mean, the standard deviation, and then the Whisker Plot, which involves the first quartile, the lower quartile and the upper quartile. I'm going to explain the first 5 terms here, and then I'm going to explain what an outlier is. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to say what an outlier is right now. An outlier occurs when you have a set of data, like this, you have this set of data, and let's say the next thing is 95. That would be an outlier because it's way out there. It's way more than all the other all the other numbers involved. However, you could also have it occur on this side. Let's say we had 0.009. That would be an outlier. Anything that is way smaller or way more than the numbers that you're given. We're going to learn how to do all 5 of these. Some of them are easier than others, but I'm going to explain them step by step. The range can be found when you subtract the lowest number from the highest number. So when they ask you to find the range of this information, it will be 17 minus 12, which is 5. That's the range that you're working with here. Number 2, the mode would be something that has to do with the number of times a certain number appears. In this case, there is no mode because all of them appear once. However, let's say we had another 17. So it was 16, 17, and then another 17. The mode would be 17. So for the mode, we'll say there's none. We move on to the median. The median is the middle term after you've arranged it from the lowest term to the largest term. So we arrange it 12, 13, 15, 16, 17. The median will be 15. The middle term. So we'll say the median is 15. The next one is the mean. The mean can be found when we add up all these numbers and we divide it by the total number of numbers there are. So there are 5 numbers, so we're going to divide it by 5. The mean is also known as the average. And you guys are familiar with what an average is. If you guys play sports, you know that people say someone averages 25 points a game or 50 points a game, depending on what sport we're talking about, of course, or 5 goals a game. So the average or the mean is simply you add up 12 plus 13 plus 15 plus 16 plus 17, and you divide that by 5. And I'm just going to take my calculator and do this quickly. We have 15 plus 16 plus 17, and that gives us 73 divided by 5. And we divide that by 5, and that gives us 14.6. We're going to come back to this. It's important that you understand how we found this. The notation for our mean will be an X with a bar on top of it. And I'll explain why this is important. We've answered the first 4 things here. Again, the Whisker Plot, I'm just going to give you a sketch, is simply when you arrange a set of information and you have a lower quartile, and what that means is after you find your actual median, when you find your median, you write it, you take note of the number. In this case, we have 15. To find your lower quartile, depending on what type of problem you're given, you use the numbers that exist below the median. And to find your upper quartile, you use the numbers that exist above the median. And so the median is right there. You have your lower quartile, you have an upper quartile. This is the basic gist for a Whisker Plot. Your book gives you details of this in lesson 25. So if there's any questions, let me know. But that's not a problem at all. You just need to make sure you know how to do these, and that will come easy. The next step is let's find the standard deviation. This is going to take about 2-3 minutes. So you want to pay attention. To find the standard deviation, you want to draw a table. Get a table of values. You have your x. Your x is simply, or your x values are 12, 13, 15, 16, and 17. Those are your table. That's the table of showing the x's. The next thing you want to recognize is your mean. Your mean is 14.6, and so that's the same thing all through. The next thing you want to do is take x minus x bar. And the x bar again is your mean. And so you have 12 minus 14.6, you have negative 2.6. Then you have 13 minus 14.6, you have negative 1.6. Then you have 15 minus 14.6, you have 0.4. You have 16 minus 14.6, you have 1.4. And you have 17 minus 14.6, you have 2.4. The next thing you would have in this table is you would have x minus x bar, and you square it. So we're going to square each of these terms right here. So we start with negative 2.6. So 2.6 times 2.6. The reason why I just say 2.6 is because a negative number times a negative number is positive. So it's just negative 2.6 times 2.6 will give us 6.76. And then we have negative 1.6 times 1.6 will give us 2.56. And then we have 0.4 times 0.4. This one you should be able to do without a calculator. And it's 0.16. And then 1.4 times 1.4 is simply 1.96. And then we have 2.4 times 2.4, which is 5.76. Now, add all these numbers together. So, summation of x minus x bar squared. I will explain what that's for, but you want to add up all those numbers. So, let's start with 6.76 plus 2.56 plus 0.16 plus 1.96 plus 5.76. You get 17.2. The formula for standard deviation essentially is simply sigma, that's a Greek letter, sigma is equal to the square root of the summation of x minus x bar squared divided by n. The summation of x minus x bar squared is right here. We just added all of that and we got 17.2. So all you have here is 17.2 divided by the number. How many terms do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divided by 5. So 17.2 divided by 5 is 3.44. But remember, the formula is the square root of that. So the square root of that, which would simply be, when we take the square root of that, we get about 1 point something. So we're going to take the square root of that, we close that, and that gives us 1.85, which is approximately 1.9. And that's the standard deviation. And that's the end of this problem. I hope that you've learned how to find the range, which is simply the highest number minus the smallest number. The mode, which is dependent on how many times a certain number occurs. The median, which is the middle term. The mean, which is all the numbers added divided by the number of terms involved. And the standard deviation, which is the square root of the summation of x minus the mean squared divided by n. Take it one step at a time and you should be able to handle problems in statistics. The next video we're going to do in this series would involve learning how to work with quadratic expressions. So, thank you.